The circular chamber of the Galactic Council gleamed with holographic projections and alien architectural complexity. Smooth surfaces in shades of metallic blue and silver reflected the nervous energy of hundreds of representatives from across known space. At the center stood Elena Rodriguez, her dark hair pulled back, her tailored diplomatic uniform crisp and immaculate. She had spent decades in galactic diplomacy, building bridges between humanity and countless alien civilizations. Her career had been defined by patience, understanding, and a remarkable ability to navigate complex interstellar relationships. Today, everything would change. The holographic display behind her showed a devastation that no diplomatic language could soften. New Santiago Colony, a frontier settlement of nearly 50,000 human colonists, had been reduced to ash and twisted metal. Satellite images revealed a landscape of complete destruction, with only fragments of infrastructure remaining where thriving communities had existed just days before. Representatives from a dozen alien species watched her with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. The Zorn delegation sat particularly still, their scaled forms rigid and their multiple eyes unblinking. They believed their attack would go unanswered, that humanity would respond with the measured diplomacy they had always shown. They were wrong. Elena's translator, embedded seamlessly in the chamber's communication system, carried her words with crystal clarity. Each syllable was carefully chosen, each pause deliberate. Distinguished members of the Galactic Council, she began, her voice steady and controlled, we stand here today at a moment that will define our species' relationship with the broader galactic community. She activated another holographic projection. The images cycled through scenes of destruction. Schools reduced to rubble, medical facilities obliterated, residential zones turned into smoking craters. Each image told a story of lives abruptly ended, of dreams violently interrupted. The Zorn hegemony claims this was a strategic neutralization of a potential threat, Elena continued. Her right hand, resting on the podium, remained perfectly still. They argue that our colonial expansion presented a risk to their territorial integrity. What they fail to understand is the fundamental nature of human existence. The chamber remained silent. Even the ambient technological hum seemed to pause, waiting for her next words. We are not a species defined by territorial conquest, she explained, her tone taking on an almost educational quality. We are explorers, innovators, bridge builders. Our colonies represent hope, not threat. They are extensions of our fundamental belief in potential for growth, for understanding, for connection. She paused, allowing her words to settle into the consciousness of those present. New Santiago was not a military outpost, Elena continued. It was a research colony. Scientists, educators, medical professionals, and their families. Children who would have grown to understand the universe in ways we can barely imagine. Researchers working on technological solutions to challenges that impact not just humanity, but all sentient beings. The Zorn representatives shifted uncomfortably. Their standard diplomatic protocol did not prepare them for this level of emotional articulation. Today, Elena's voice rose slightly, carrying a note of something between sadness and determination. We are forced to recognize that diplomacy has limits. That patience can be mistaken for weakness. That understanding can be interpreted as vulnerability. She took a deliberate step forward, her shadow casting across the holographic display of destruction. We are heading to war. Those 5 words hung in the air, transforming the entire atmosphere of the chamber. Alien delegates leaned forward, some in shock, others in anticipation. The translation systems worked overtime, rendering her declaration in countless languages and communication protocols. Elena Rodriguez was not finished. Her next words would echo through galactic history. But understand this, our war is not about destruction. It is about protection. About demonstrating that the cost of attacking those who seek only to explore, to learn, to grow, is higher than any potential gain. The chamber erupted into a cacophony of translated discussions, holographic sidebars, and urgent communications. But Elena remained still, her gaze fixed on the Zorn delegation. They had made a profound miscalculation. Humanity was about to show the galaxy exactly what that meant. Deep beneath the icy surface of Europa, a research station hummed with an energy that defied conventional understanding. Admiral Marcus Chen walked through corridors that seemed to breathe with technological potential. Each step revealed layers of innovation that the Zorn, or any other galactic civilization, could never have anticipated. The station was more than a military installation. It was a testament to human creativity, a crucible where scientific imagination met strategic necessity. Holographic displays danced around him, showing complex simulations that merged quantum computing, adaptive artificial intelligence, and breakthrough material sciences. Dr. Usha Patel, the lead researcher, looked up from her workstation. Her eyes reflected both exhaustion and an unmistakable spark of excitement. "We've cracked the last algorithmic barrier," she announced, her voice steady but charged with significance. Marcus approached the central display. What appeared to be a simple schematic was actually a living network of technological potential. Each system was not just a component, but a node in a larger adaptive intelligence. "Explain it to me as if I'm not a scientist," he requested, a familiar phrase that had become a running joke among the research team. Aisha smiled. "Imagine a ship that doesn't just respond to threats but anticipates them. Not through predictive algorithms, but through a genuine understanding of complex systems. We're creating technology that learns, adapts, and evolves in real time." The implications were staggering. Traditional military technology relied on preset responses and predetermined strategic protocols. What the human team was developing was something entirely different, a technological ecosystem that could think, learn, and transform. In another section of the facility, a team of linguists and cultural experts worked on a project equally revolutionary. Led by Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, a distant cousin of the diplomatic ambassador, they were developing communication systems that went far beyond simple translation. "Language is more than words," Marcus explained to his team. "It's context, emotion, cultural nuance. We're creating systems that don't just translate, but understand the fundamental psychological underpinnings of communication." Screens around him displayed complex neural networks, mapping linguistic and cultural interactions. Each interaction was a potential strategy, each communication a potential diplomatic or tactical advantage. Back in the main research hub, Admiral Chen reviewed the broader preparations. Hidden shipyards scattered across remote star systems were coming to life. These were not traditional production facilities, but adaptive manufacturing centers that could reconfigure themselves based on real-time strategic requirements. A young engineer named Liu Wei approached with a final report. "Our adaptive manufacturing systems can now produce a complete warship variant in under 48 hours, she reported. "And each ship isn't just a vessel. It's a learning system that shares its experiences across the entire fleet network." The preparations extended beyond military technology. Humanitarian response teams were being trained in unprecedented ways. They weren't just preparing for conflict, but for the complex aftermath: reconstruction, cultural mediation, technological exchange. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the diplomatic ambassador's sister and a renowned xenobiologist, was developing comprehensive first contact and post-conflict engagement protocols. War is not just about fighting, she often said. It's about what comes after, how we rebuild, how we understand, how we grow. In orbit around Mars, a massive research platform housed technologies that seemed to defy current scientific understanding. Experimental quantum communication arrays could potentially communicate faster than light. Adaptive material sciences created substances that could change their fundamental properties in response to environmental challenges. Admiral Chen understood the true nature of their preparation. This wasn't just about defeating the Zorn. It was about demonstrating a fundamentally different approach to interstellar interaction. Humanity was showing that technological superiority wasn't about raw power, but about adaptability, understanding, and potential. As the sun set on Europa, casting long shadows across the research station, Marcus Chen allowed himself a moment of reflection. The Zorn believed they were attacking a young Knave species. They had no idea of the complex, adaptive network they were about to encounter. "We're not just preparing for war," he muttered to himself, watching the holographic displays dance with potential. "We're redefining what conflict means in the galactic context." Outside, the icy surface of Europa reflected the station's lights, a beacon of human potential, hidden from view, but ready to change everything. The void between star systems crackled with an anticipation that no sensor could detect. Lieutenant Sarah Nakamura sat in the command chair of the RSS Horizon, her fingers hovering above interfaces that seemed to breathe with technological life. Around her, the ship's adaptive neural network hummed, not just a machine, but a living extension of human innovation. Zorn Battlegroup sensors had detected their approach, but detection meant nothing in this new form of warfare. The Horizon was more than a ship. It was a complex, thinking organism that understood conflict as a dynamic, evolving system. "Incoming Zorn battle formation," her tactical officer reported. The holographic display showed a classic Zorn attack pattern, rigid, mathematically precise, utterly predictable. Sarah's lips curved into the smallest of smiles. Predictable was exactly what the Zorn wanted them to believe. "Initiate adaptive response protocol," she commanded. The words seemed to trigger a living system rather than a simple computer command. The ship's quantum communication network sparked to life. Instant data exchanges happened between the Horizon and the rest of the human fleet, not through traditional communication channels, but through a neural-like network that shared information faster than light itself. The Zorn fleet approached in a classic arrowhead formation. Their massive battleships gleamed with technological augmentations that had crushed countless civilizations. Weapon systems charged, energy signatures building to destructive potential. They had no idea what was coming. The first phase of the engagement defied traditional understanding of space combat. Instead of direct weapon exchanges, the Horizon began to manipulate the very fabric of the electromagnetic spectrum. Sensor readings became confused, targeting systems began to drift, and the Zorn fleet found themselves fighting an enemy they could not properly perceive. Sarah watched the tactical display with clinical precision. Each movement was a calculated dance, each decision a complex algorithmic choice that went beyond simple tactical programming. Quantum interference field at 78% capacity, her systems officer reported. Zorn targeting systems are becoming increasingly erratic. The human fleet moved like a living organism. Each ship was an individual unit, yet simultaneously part of a greater thinking whole. They anticipated Zorn movements before the alien fleet even conceived of them. A junior officer looked up, confusion etched across her face. "Lieutenant, their weapon systems are breaking down, but we haven't fired a single direct shot." Sarah understood the deeper strategy. This wasn't about destruction. It was about demonstration. The Zorn flagship suddenly erupted in a cascade of system failures, not from direct weapon hits, but from a complete breakdown of its internal technological infrastructure. The human fleet had essentially turned the ship's own systems against it, creating a cascading failure that spread like a technological virus. Communication intercept. Another officer reported. "Zorn Command is in complete disarray. They're attempting to understand what's happening." What was happening was a fundamental reimagining of space combat. Humanity wasn't just fighting. They were teaching a lesson about the nature of technological adaptation. One by one, Zorn ships began to drift. Not destroyed, but completely neutralized. Their weapon systems offline, their navigation compromised, their understanding of conflict fundamentally challenged. Sarah's voice remained calm. "Maintain defensive posture. No unnecessary destruction." The final moments of the engagement were almost anticlimactic. Where other civilizations would have obliterated their opponents, the human fleet simply rendered the Zorn battlegroup completely ineffective. "Tactical assessment," Sarah requested. Her systems officer pulled up a comprehensive report. 0 human casualties. No direct weapon discharges. An entire Zorn battlegroup rendered non-functional through pure technological manipulation. A message was being sent, not just about military capability, but about a fundamentally different approach to conflict. As the Horizon systems began to catalogue and analyse the engagement, Sarah knew this was more than a battle. This was a first glimpse of humanity's true potential. The void of space fell silent, bearing witness to a transformation in galactic warfare. The Diplomatic Communications Center resembled a living organism of information and strategy. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stood at its center, surrounded by holographic displays that mapped out complex webs of interstellar relationships, cultural insights, and strategic possibilities. Her team was unlike any diplomatic corps in galactic history. Xenolinguists worked alongside quantum data analysts. Cultural anthropologists collaborated with game theory experts. Each member brought a unique perspective to the intricate dance of interstellar communication. "We're not just responding to an attack," Elena explained to her core team. "We're rewriting the entire framework of interstellar conflict." Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, her cousin and lead strategic communications specialist, pulled up a comprehensive analysis of Zorn communication patterns. The holographic display showed intricate layers of linguistic and cultural data that went far beyond traditional intelligence gathering. Their hierarchical communication structure is both their greatest strength and their most significant vulnerability, Marcus noted. Each word was carefully chosen, each insight a potential strategic lever. The team had spent years studying the Zorn, not just their military capabilities, but their entire sociocultural infrastructure. They understood the Zorn's communication systems better than the Zorn understood themselves. Elena reviewed the initial reports from the first engagement. The military action wasn't just a display of technological superiority, it was a carefully constructed message. Every system failure, every disrupted communication channel was a carefully placed linguistic and technological statement. A young analyst named Kai Chen approached with a breakthrough. "We've identified the precise communication nodes that form the Zorn leadership's decision-making infrastructure," he reported. The holographic display showed a complex network of communication pathways, each node pulsing with potential. The strategy was multi-layered. Military action was just one component of a much larger approach. They were challenging the Zorn's entire understanding of conflict, communication, and interstellar relationships. "Watch this," Marcus said, activating a series of communication simulations. The holographic displays showed how human communication could simultaneously disrupt and provide alternative pathways for the Zorn leadership. It wasn't about destroying the Zorn. It was about giving them a fundamentally different way of understanding their place in the galaxy. Elena understood the deeper game. Each communication, each strategic move was designed to create cognitive dissonance within the Zorn leadership structure. They were being presented with a paradigm that their current understanding simply could not process. Intelligence reports streamed in from multiple sources. The Zorn leadership was in complete disarray. Their rigid hierarchical systems were struggling to comprehend the fluid, adaptive approach of human strategy. "We're giving them a choice," Elena explained to her team. "Not between submission and destruction, but between understanding and irrelevance." The Diplomatic Communication Center worked with a precision that defied traditional understanding. It wasn't just sending messages, it was creating entire communication ecosystems that could adapt in real time. Kai pulled up a comprehensive analysis of potential communication scenarios. Each pathway was a potential bridge, each message a potential transformation. "Look at this," he said, highlighting a particularly complex communication node. "We're not just disrupting their systems. We're providing alternative pathways of understanding." The team worked with a combination of scientific precision and creative imagination. They were linguistic engineers, communication architects, creating structures of understanding that went beyond traditional diplomatic approaches. Elena reviewed the final communication strategy. It was a masterpiece of strategic communication, each message designed to challenge, to provide alternative perspectives, to create opportunities for genuine understanding. "This is about more than the Zorn," she told her team. "This is about demonstrating a fundamentally different approach to interstellar relationships." As the Diplomatic Communication Center continued its work, something remarkable was happening. They weren't just responding to an attack. They were creating an entirely new framework for interstellar communication. The void of space waited, bearing witness to a transformation that would change everything. The research facility on Titan gleamed like a jewel against the distant, hazy horizon of Saturn. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, not to be confused with the diplomatic ambassador, stood before a containment field that represented humanity's most significant technological leap in generations. Her team had been working in near-total secrecy for years. The breakthrough wasn't just a weapon or a defensive system. It was a fundamental reimagining of technological interaction. "We've done more than create a containment field," she explained to the assembled research team. "We've developed a system that can communicate with technological infrastructure at its most fundamental level." The containment field shimmered with an almost living quality. Quantum entanglement sensors created a network of potential that went beyond traditional understanding of technology. It wasn't just about blocking or neutralizing systems. It was about understanding and communicating with them. Dr. Marcus Way, the lead quantum systems analyst, pulled up a holographic display. "Watch this," he said, his fingers dancing across the interface. The display showed a complex series of interactions. Where traditional technological systems would show simple input and output, this network displayed a living, breathing ecosystem of information and potential. "Traditional defensive systems are about blocking," Marcus explained. "Our system is about understanding. We're not just stopping technological threats. We are learning from them, adapting to them, potentially transforming them." The implications were staggering. The Zorn had believed their technological superiority was unquestionable. They had no idea what was coming. A junior researcher named Aria Chang approached with a new set of simulation results. "The adaptive potential is beyond our initial projections," she reported. The holographic display showed complex networks of potential interactions, each pathway a potential solution to technological challenges. The containment field was more than a defensive system. It was a communication network that could potentially interact with any technological infrastructure, understanding its fundamental nature at a level no other civilization had achieved. "Look at this," Marcus said, highlighting a particular interaction. The display showed how the system could potentially communicate with an alien technological infrastructure, understanding its fundamental communication protocols in real time. Elena understood the deeper significance. This wasn't just about military potential. It was about a fundamental approach to technological interaction that went beyond conflict. The team worked with a combination of scientific precision and creative imagination. Each breakthrough was a step towards a completely new understanding of technological potential. Simulation after simulation demonstrated the system's capabilities. It could potentially neutralize technological threats without destruction. More importantly, it could understand those threats, learn from them, potentially even transform them. "We're not creating a weapon," Elena explained to her team. "We're creating a system of understanding." The research facility hummed with potential. Each system was interconnected, each breakthrough building upon the last. They were creating something that went far beyond traditional technological development. Aria pulled up a comprehensive analysis of the system's potential applications. The possibilities seemed almost infinite. Humanitarian response, technological exchange, conflict resolution. The applications went far beyond military potential. "The Zorn think in terms of destruction," Marcus commented. "We think in terms of potential." As the day progressed, the team continued to push the boundaries of technological understanding. Each simulation, each test revealed new layers of potential. They were creating a system that could potentially communicate with any technological infrastructure, understanding its fundamental nature. The containment field continued to shimmer, a testament to human innovation. It represented more than a technological breakthrough. It was a fundamental reimagining of how technology could interact, communicate, and potentially transform. Outside, the distant rings of Saturn provided a backdrop to humanity's most significant technological leap. A system that wasn't about destruction, but about understanding. A technology that didn't seek to overcome, but to communicate. As the research team continued their work, they knew they were creating something that would change everything. The Psychological Warfare Center occupied a nondescript building on the edge of a research complex. From the outside, it appeared unremarkable. Inside, it was anything but ordinary. Dr. Amara O'Cake stood at the center of a vast information network that redefined the concept of strategic communication. Her team represented the most advanced psychological analysis group in human history, a collection of experts that merged neuroscience, cultural anthropology, linguistic analysis, and strategic communication. "We're not fighting a traditional war," Amara explained to her core team. "We're engaging in a comprehensive transformation of perception." Holographic displays surrounded her, each showing intricate networks of Zorn communication patterns, cultural systems, and psychological infrastructure. Years of meticulous research had provided insights that went far beyond traditional intelligence gathering. A linguistic expert named Jin Park highlighted a particularly complex communication node. "Look at their hierarchical communication structure," he said. "It's both their greatest strength and their most significant vulnerability. The team had developed communication strategies that would do more than disrupt the Zorn. They would fundamentally challenge the alien civilization's understanding of conflict, communication, and potential. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, a strategic communication specialist, pulled up a comprehensive analysis of potential psychological intervention points. Each pathway was carefully crafted to create maximum cognitive dissonance within the Zorn leadership structure. "We're not trying to destroy them," Marcus explained. "We're trying to show them a different way of existing." The psychological warfare team worked with a precision that defied traditional understanding. They weren't just sending messages. They were creating entire communication ecosystems designed to challenge fundamental beliefs. Amara reviewed the latest communication simulations. Each message was a carefully constructed piece of a larger puzzle. They were providing the Zorn with alternative narratives, alternative ways of understanding their place in the galaxy. A young analyst named Kai Chen approached with a breakthrough. "We've identified the precise psychological trigger points in their communication infrastructure," he reported. The holographic display showed a complex network of communication pathways, each node pulsing with potential. The strategy was multi-layered and profound. They were challenging the Zorn's entire understanding of conflict, communication, and interstellar relationships. "Watch this," Marcus said, activating a series of communication simulations. The holographic displays showed how human communication could simultaneously disrupt and provide alternative pathways for the Zorn leadership. Detailed psychological profiles mapped out every potential response. The team had studied Zorn culture so comprehensively that they could predict potential reactions with remarkable accuracy. "It's about creating space for a different understanding," Amara explained. Each communication was designed to create cognitive dissonance, to challenge fundamental assumptions about conflict and coexistence. Intelligence reports streamed in from multiple sources. The Zorn leadership was experiencing something unprecedented. Their rigid hierarchical systems were struggling to comprehend the fluid, adaptive approach of human strategy. Kai pulled up a comprehensive analysis of potential communication scenarios. "We're not just sending messages," he explained. "We're creating entire ecosystems of understanding." The team worked with a combination of scientific precision and creative imagination. They were linguistic engineers, communication architects, creating structures of understanding that went beyond traditional approaches to conflict. "This is about more than winning a war," Amara told her team. "This is about demonstrating a fundamentally different approach to interstellar relationships." As the Psychological Warfare Center continued its work, something remarkable was happening. They weren't just responding to an attack. They were creating an entirely new framework for understanding conflict and communication. The holographic displays continued to pulse with potential. Each communication, each strategic move was designed to create opportunities for genuine understanding. They were offering the Zorn something far more powerful than destruction, a chance to see the universe differently. Outside, the research complex stood as a testament to human potential. Inside, a team was rewriting the very concept of conflict, one carefully crafted message at a time. The galaxy watched and waited, bearing witness to a transformation that would change everything. The central command hub of the Zorn hegemony trembled with an uncertainty that defied their centuries of galactic dominance. Supreme Chancellor Krasnak stood before a holographic display that showed the progressive unraveling of their entire civilization's strategic infrastructure. Nothing made sense anymore. Their most advanced communication networks have become incomprehensible labyrinths. Military systems that once responded with absolute precision now flickered with uncertainty. The human intervention was unlike anything in galactic historical records, a form of strategic engagement that transcended traditional concepts of warfare. "Explain," Krasnak demanded of his senior advisors. His multiple eyes shifted between different communication channels, each revealing a more bewildering scenario than the last. Admiral Vortax, the most decorated military leader in Zorn history, looked defeated. "They are not destroying us," he reported, his voice carrying a tone of profound confusion. "They are transforming us." The holographic displays showed a cascading series of system failures, but not through direct weapon strikes. Instead, human communication systems were systematically dismantling the Zorn's hierarchical infrastructure from within. Each intervention was a precise psychological and technological surgical strike. Communication pathways that had existed for generations began to fracture, not through destruction, but through a comprehensive reimagining of their fundamental communication protocols. Junior administrative levels began to question the long-standing hierarchical structures. Information flows that were once rigidly controlled now became unpredictable rivers of potential understanding. The humans were not just attacking a military system, they were challenging an entire civilization's conceptual framework. "We are being given a choice," one of the junior advisors unexpectedly stated. The statement hung in the air, revolutionary in its simplicity. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez's latest communication transmission played across the central display. Her words were carefully constructed, each sentence a potential bridge between complete conflict and potential understanding. "Your current approach to interstellar relationships is unsustainable," she explained, her tone educational rather than confrontational. "We are offering an alternative, not submission, but transformation." The Zorn leadership experienced something unprecedented. Their entire understanding of conflict, of power, of interstellar relationships was being systematically challenged. Vortax reviewed the tactical assessments. No human ships had destroyed Zorn infrastructure. Instead, they had been systematically neutralized through a combination of technological and psychological interventions that rendered their systems increasingly ineffective. "They are not conquering us," he said, the realization dawning with increasing clarity. "They are inviting us to understand." Communication networks began to shift, not through external manipulation, but through an internal recognition of alternative possibilities. The rigid Zorn hierarchical structure began to show unexpected flexibility. Chancellor Krasnak watched as generations of established power structures began to reconfigure themselves. Each communication intervention was a precise tool, each strategic move a potential pathway to a different understanding. The breaking point was not a moment of destruction. It was a moment of profound realization. Human communication systems had systematically provided alternative narratives, alternative ways of understanding conflict, of conceptualizing interstellar relationships. The Zorn were being offered something far more challenging than defeat. They were being offered understanding. Intelligence reports streamed in from multiple sources. Zorn colonies began to reassess their long-standing beliefs. The narrative of inevitable superiority crumbled, replaced by a growing recognition of a fundamentally different approach to existence. "We are being transformed," Vortax said, his voice a mixture of wonder and reluctant acceptance. "Not through force, but through understanding." The central command hub continued to pulse with potential. Each communication intervention was designed not to destroy, but to create opportunities for genuine dialogue, for reimagining their place in the galaxy. As the final communication transmissions were processed, something remarkable happened. The Zorn were not being conquered. They were being invited to evolve. Outside the command hub, the distant stars seemed to watch, bearing witness to a transformation that would change everything. The Galactic Council chamber felt different. Gone was the rigid formality of previous generations. Instead, a new energy of possibility filled the space, a testament to humanity's transformative approach to interstellar relations. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stood at the center, not as a conqueror, but as an architect of understanding. Behind her, holographic displays showed the intricate web of connections that had replaced traditional power structures. "We are not here to establish dominance," she began, her voice carrying the weight of a profound truth. "We are here to demonstrate a different approach to coexistence." Representatives from dozens of civilizations listened with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. The Zorn delegation sat in a position that was new to them, not at the margins, but as active participants in a dialogue of equals. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, her strategic communications specialist, activated a comprehensive display that mapped out the transformation. It wasn't a story of conquest, but of fundamental reimagining. The holographic representation showed how human intervention had not destroyed the Zorn infrastructure, but had instead provided a pathway to a more adaptive, more collaborative approach to interstellar relationships. Chancellor Krasnak of the Zorn, once the most rigid of leaders, now spoke with a newfound perspective. "We misunderstood," he admitted. "The words were revolutionary, coming from a species that had never before acknowledged its own limitations." Technological displays showed the adaptive systems developed during the conflict. These were not weapons of destruction, but tools of understanding. Each system represented a bridge between different ways of thinking, different approaches to existence. "Our research shows that conflict is rarely about differences," Elena explained. "It is about the inability to understand those differences." The assembled representatives watched as comprehensive reports detailed how humanity had approached the conflict. It wasn't a military victory in traditional terms. It was a victory of communication, of understanding, of providing alternative pathways. Dr. Amara Okik, the lead psychological strategist, presented a detailed analysis of the transformation. "We didn't defeat the Zorn," she explained. "We invited them to evolve." The displays showed how human communication systems had systematically provided alternative narratives. Not through force, but through a comprehensive approach that challenged fundamental assumptions about conflict, communication, and coexistence. Kai Chen, the young analyst who had been instrumental in developing communication strategies, presented the technological breakthroughs. Each innovation was not just a technological achievement, but a potential bridge between civilizations. "Technology is not about power," Kai explained. "It's about potential for understanding." The Zorn delegation, once rigid and unyielding, now showed signs of fundamental transformation. Their communication patterns had changed. Their approach to interstellar relations was no longer about domination, but about collaboration. Ambassador Rodriguez outlined a new framework for interstellar cooperation. It wasn't a treaty of submission, but an invitation to a different way of existing. Research exchanges, technological collaborations, cultural dialogues, all became potential pathways of mutual understanding. "We are not asking you to become like us," she explained. "We are inviting you to explore the potential of being yourselves together." The holographic displays continued to pulse with potential. Each communication pathway, each technological innovation represented an opportunity for growth, for understanding, for a fundamentally different approach to existence. Representatives from other civilizations began to see the transformation. Humanity had not conquered through destruction, but through a comprehensive approach that challenged fundamental assumptions about conflict and coexistence. Chancellor Krasnak approached the central podium. The gesture was unprecedented. A leader of the Zorn hegemony, voluntarily stepping forward to engage in genuine dialogue. "We were wrong," he stated simply. The words carried the weight of generations of misunderstanding. The Galactic Council chamber seemed to breathe with potential. This was more than a resolution of conflict. This was the beginning of a new way of understanding. Outside, the distant stars continued their ancient dance, but something had changed. Humanity had demonstrated that the true potential of any civilization lies not in its ability to destroy, but in its capacity to understand. A new chapter in galactic history had begun.